Well, good morning. I have a topic today that I enjoy very much. It's been very key for me, this lesson that I have learned, practiced so much in my life, and I call it the art of surrender. And it's really connected to, again, this Taoist principle of flow. Spend a lot of time by the river each day and, allowing water to teach me about flow. And, recognizing that it comes out of a greater principle of sort of the way evolution works is that certain conditions are introduced, okay, difficulties, challenges, whatever, that serve a basic function of teaching about letting go, teaching about surrender. Because there's great strength, okay? I mean, this is really, I'm sure it comes from a quite famous book called The Art of War. But anyway, there's a line in the Tao, the Taoist Tao Te Ching, that it talks about, the generals moving pieces, and actually it came up in the film The Queen's Gambit. This idea that when victory seems imminent, that a masterful step is to move back, pull back. Yeah, it's a paradox that, it's opposite of sort of the way the world believes in force, that victory comes via force, when in fact the Taoist would say, well, the greater victory comes via surrender or pulling back. The key is allowing the situation to be as it is. Remember, we talked at other times about some of the masters like Choyam Trungpa cutting through spiritual materialism. And it talks about this idea that, the ego will hold on, if there seems to be conflict, the ego will just grasp to its sense of security all the more. Whereas, the greater wisdom would say, let go. There's times when letting go, allowing the situation to be as it is. So, we've talked with these principles about, again, if there's this sense of trust, this strength, this sense of, being aligned with true power. And then there's not this insecurity that would have us clutch onto certain outcomes. There's a great line from A Course in Miracles that says, in my defenselessness, my safety lies. No reason to defend. Pull back, surrender. Always, for me, being born into a male body, a male person, to some degree, at least when I was young, a male or masculine dominated culture. It's particularly important lesson to learn in my life. And from a very early age, I, made a big shift from, being at 18 in a military school, seemingly destined to be a Air Force fighter jet pilot, to a few years later being in a graduate school in San Francisco studying Asian philosophy. What would come to me very consistently is this message about, the divine feminine leading the way, and how it would be important for me, if I was truly on a path of mastery or greatness, that I would integrate this feminine, and that I would become whole, right? Equally masculine and feminine. And that in this wholeness, in the sense of completeness, one then could become empty, because there's no more striving, there's no more work to be done. Again, the great lessons are lessons in balance. Okay, the Taoist principles are very much about harmony, balance. So in situations that we are presented, when we're challenged, and the ego, always quick to respond, would say, well, you have to fight for what is right. and then a greater voice says, no, there's no fighting for what is right. There's allowing what is true, allowing reality to manifest, always for the highest good. Okay, the highest good, which always really is the greatest good for all, not for you versus another. The greatest good will always prevail. Okay. An essential understanding about evolution. Evolution might, in particular instances, seem not so great for certain individuals or certain groups or certain whatever, but evolution always has the greatest good of the whole in mind. And again, this is the essential part of the spiritual mind that we're evolving into, is this mind that actually is thinking, what is the greatest good for all? The greatest good for not like all individuals. What it really means is the greatest good for the one, for the whole, okay, the globe as a whole. Our species as a whole. Okay, this is seeing the way God sees, seeing a bigger picture than being lost in the parts. Again, in the duality, all of this seems impossible. But leaving the duality, this is again the essential thing about learning to walk with one foot in eternity and one foot in the space-time world, to be able to bring balance to these two seemingly impossible realities. But this is our function. This is what we are called to do in this time, is bringing together seemingly impossible differences. And key is this art of surrender. Okay, there's a a beautiful word that has many meanings, grace. But one of the things that I came to understand was that there is this element of grace in the way that the unmanifested God, the universal principle, will guide us, help us, support us. And grace is very much intimately connected with this idea of flow. Okay. Grace would hold me in a broken moment and say, it's okay. Everything's going to be okay. So grace is this very high level of wisdom coupled with compassion. They could say, I accept this moment is painful. I accept in this moment, I've had these great moments in my life where I was devastated. And through this devastation came amazing insights, steps toward true freedom. So you would say that the situation that created the devastation was grace helping me to learn the greater principles. And again, one of these principles is allowing or flow, allowing beauty, allowing truth, allowing love, allowing light to transform a situation. Remember, the end of the world, and you could say any situation, the end of this situation is not its destruction, but its translation into heaven.